Capítulo 12, Grammar Lecture. Grammar 12.3. We're entering now, from now until the end of the year, we're going to be working with subjunctive. And the subjunctive has different reasons for its use. There's impersonal expressions is the first one that we get introduced to in this chapter, and the next grammar lesson introduces the next one. What we're going to be doing is working with both the present tense and the past tense subjunctive, which we will talk more about in class. The indicative mood, which you've studied in the first 2 years of Taylor, or the first year of Taylor in the last 2-3 semesters, the indicative mood talks about an object mood used to state facts, used to express certainty regarding an action that has taken place or will take place. All verb forms learned so far have been in the indicative mood. For example, algunos animales están en peligro de extinción. Anything that we've said, I eat, you eat, he eats, we eat, I talk, you talk, we study, they studied, they ate. Everything that we've been doing so far has been indicative of concrete things that have happened in the present tense or in the past or in the future. Things that have concrete, relatable actions and results that have happened to them. The subjunctive, however, is a mood that expresses something that has not happened, that is hypothetical, or that has the potential of happening. And it may be used to express the person who is speaking, either their wishes or their doubts or their emotional reactions, and some of them are related to time. So, for example, at the end of last semester, we learned how to give commands. And we said, eat. Command forms do not describe an action that's happening. They describe or they talk about a potential action. I can tell someone to eat and give them a command, but it's not describing what they are doing right now. So a command form is the basic way of understanding what the subjunctive is. When you command someone to do something, you're basically saying, I want you to do it. I want is definitely something that is indicative, but the do something for the other person is not being done, but it has the potential of being done. So this is how Spanish differentiates between what is definitely happening or happened is the indicative, and what may happen or I want to happen, or the way I feel about something, or what I doubt. That is the subjunctive. As an example, this is an impersonal expression, meaning that nobody is really doing the action. It's actually something that is impersonal. Es increíble que, in other words, it is incredible that. It is incredible that. Nobody's being incredible. Nobody is doing something incredible. It's simply a judgment of an impersonal judgment on or opinion about something. It's incredible that no protejamos los animales mejor. Proteger becomes protejamos. Forming the subjunctive in the impersonal expressions. Forming the subjunctive, you take the yo form of the verb, you drop the o, and you add the opposite ending. This is for the present tense subjunctive form of the verb. Take the yo form of the verb, drop the o, and add the opposite ending. Here's an example. Es bueno que, that's an impersonal expression. It's good that. I'm not making it. It's kind of impersonal. It's a general opinion. Es bueno que tengas ganas de viajar con animales. It's good that you want to work with animals. Tengas ganas, that you want, you desire to. Tener becomes tenga because we have taken the yo form, tengo, take off the o, and added the opposite set of endings. Because it's an ER verb, we use the endings a. Es ridículo que algunos animales sufran. Es ridículo que is an impersonal expression. It's ridiculous. It's just a general impersonal opinion. Que algunos animales sufran. The verb is sufrir, IR ending. Take the yo form, sufro, drop the o, and I put the opposite vowel. Since it's an IR verb, I would put an a, sufran. To form the present tense subjunctive, you start with the verb in the yo form. You then remove the o ending. For example, hablo, you would take off o. You replace it with an e if the verb is an AR verb. That's the opposite vowel. Or you replace it with an a if the verb is an ER or IR verb. That would be the opposite vowel. Look in the chart. You begin with pongo. You take off the o and use that stem, and then put, since poner is an ER verb, you would put the opposite ending, which would be a. And you would get ponga, pongas, ponga, pongamos, and pongam. You probably noticed from last semester in chapter 10 when the subjunctive was introduced as command forms. Ponga, put it down, a formal command. Or pongamos, let's place or let's put something down. Pongan, use guys, put something down or place. So the subjunctive is used when you're going to desire or want something that someone else does. It's subjunctive because it's not describing the action. It's something that you want someone to do, in this case poner, to put something, that is in the future and may or may not happen. Let's take the verb vivo. Vivo, yo vivo, take off the o, keep that stem, and add the opposite vowel. Since it's an IR verb, it would be a. Yo viva, tú vivas, él viva, nosotros vivamos, ellos vivan. And take the verb acostar. It's an ODUE verb. Take the yo form, acuesto, and you put the o ending on it, take it off, and put the opposite vowel ending, which would be, since it's an AR verb, the e. Yo acueste, tú acuestes, él acueste, nosotros acostemos, no vowel change, in the middle of the verb stem because it's nosotros present tense. And acuesten, ustedes acuesten. In forming the present tense subjunctive, some of the forms, when you write them, will change their spelling. You've seen them before, and so there are some irregularities with the present tense subjunctive formation. Verbs that end in CAR, GAR, and ZAR will change their spellings as they did when we were talking about the preterite and formal commands in the indicative. With CAR endings, remember the C becomes a QU when E is placed after it, and that's going to happen because we're flipping the AR endings of these verb endings to E. The GAR will become GUE, and the ZAR will change to C. For example, yo sake, the verb is sacar with a C, but because we flipped the vowel, it becomes QUE. Tú saques, usted saque, nosotros saquemos, and ustedes saquen. Yo juegue, tú juegues, ella juegue, nosotros juguemos, Remember, nosotros does not keep both vowels, or does not change the vowel because nosotros never changes in the present tense. Yo empiece, tú empieces, él empiece, nosotros empecemos. The Z changes to a C because of the flip of the vowel in the AR to an E. Also form the verbs ending in GER. The G changes to a J because they are going to put an A after as the ending on it. Yo recoja, tú recojas, recoja, nosotros recojamos, ustedes recojan. If a G were to stay there, it would be recoga, tú recogas. And so we are putting an A there, we have to change the G to an A. Also, other irregularities happen when these verbs are just irregular. Dar, estar, haber, ir, saber, and ser. They have irregular present tense subjunctive. Yo de, tú des, él de, nosotros demos, ellos den. Notice the accents. Yo esté, tú estés, ella esté, estemos, ustedes estén. Again, notice the accents. Yo haya, tú hayas, usted haya, hayamos, and ellas hayan. Remember, the verb haber has the two meanings. There is, and then also we just learned in the previous grammar lesson, the present perfect. So you will be changing that to haya. For ir, yo vaya, tú vayas, él vaya, nosotros vayamos, ustedes vayan. Saber, yo sepa, tú sepas, ella sepa, nosotros sepamos, ustedes sepan. Ser, yo sea, tú seas, usted sea, nosotros seamos, ellas sean. Then our good friends, the stem changing verbs. You will remember the same rules apply for the AR verbs and the ER verbs. In the indicative, nosotros does not change the vowel. Ejemplo, es mejor que nosotros empecemos, not empiecemos primero. And then our famous IR vowel changing verbs. Remember how they just kept the first vowel of the vowel change in the third person and the third person plural in the preterite. Remember, dormí, dormiste, durmió. It's going to do the same thing here in the nosotros. Just keeps the one vowel of the vowel change. Ejemplo, es bueno que durmamos bastante, not duermamos. All of the other conjugated forms have UE. Yo duerma, tú duermas, él duerma, nosotros durmamos, ellos duerman. So let's take a closer look at what we were just talking about in the IR vowel changing verbs. Notice, dormir is an ODUE verb, and to make it, we would take duermo, the yo form, we would take off the O, and it becomes duerma. Yo duerma, tú duermas, él duerma, but nosotros durmamos, and ellos duerman. The same with mentir, which is an E to an IE. Yo miento, take off the O, put the opposite vowel, A. Yo mienta, tú mientas, él mienta, nosotros mintamos, ustedes mientan. And the same when there's only an E to I vowel change, like in the verb servir. Yo sirvo, take off the O, put the opposite vowel. yo sirva, tú sirvas, él sirva, nosotros sirvamos, ustedes sirvan. I are vowel-changing verbs. The nosotros keeps the first vowel, just like it did with el and ellos in the preterite of the indicative form. Moving to the past tense subjunctive. To form the past or the imperfect subjunctive, here's what we do. We take the ellos, preterite form of the verb, drop the ron, and add ar. And this is simpler than the present tense subjunctive because it holds true over all ar, er, and ir verbs. The same set of endings is used. Here's an example. Fue bueno que tuvieras ganas de trabajar con animales. It was good that you wanted to work with animals. Fue ridículo que algunos animales sufrieran. It was ridiculous that some of the animals suffered. Notice that in the first clause, fue bueno is in the preterite, and so in the second clause, the subjunctive is also in the preterite. That's true for both examples. Let's see how that plays out across the past tense subjunctive with AR and ER or IR verbs. Let's take poner. The preterite ellos form is pusieron. Take off the RON and replace it with RA. Pusiera, pusieras, pusiera, pusiéramos, pusieran. Let's take vivir. The preterite form for ellos is vivieron. Take off the RON and put the RA endings. Yo viviera, tú vivieras, él viviera, nosotros viviéramos, ustedes vivieran. Let's take the verb acostar, which is a vowel-changing verb, but it doesn't in the preterite. Take the ellos form. Ustedes acostaron. Take off RON, put RA ending. Yo acostara, tú acostaras, él acostara, nosotros acostáramos, ustedes acostaran. Notice that all of the nosotros forms have accents, and that is true for all cases, except in the irregular ones, which you just saw. General rule with subjunctive. As a general rule, the tense of the verb in the subjunctive will match the tense of the verb in the indicative. In other words, the first clause here, es bueno que tú tengas los libros. It is good is the first clause and has indicative present tense. It's separated by que and then it says tú tengas los libros. That is present tense subjunctive. The same holds true then for the past tense. Normally when there is past tense, you're going to have the past tense subjunctive in the secondary clause. Example, fue or era, the difference between preterite and imperfect. Fue bueno que, it was good that. Tú tuvieras los libros, it was good that you had your books. So kind of like an equation, if there's present tense indicative in the first clause, there will be present tense subjunctive in the second. And if there is preterite indicative in the first clause, there will be preterite subjunctive in the second. Note, however, that the present subjunctive generally follows if the main verb expresses something that hasn't happened in the future. That's the whole idea of the subjunctive. It hasn't happened, it has a potential of happening. So the first verb in the present tense expresses something that's happening now or in the future. So you could use the future. Será bueno que, it will be good, que los animales tengan más comida, that the animals have more food. So it could be es bueno que los animales tengan más comida, it is good. or it can be the future. Será bueno que los animales. You would not have the first verb in the future and then the subjunctive preterite form for the second verb. In our book Exploraciones, the Grammar 12.3 introduces the rules for using the subjunctive. The subjunctive with impersonal expressions. An impersonal expression does not have a subject. In general, impersonal expressions are used this way. S and then an adjective and then plus K. So you have common ones such as es bueno, es una buena idea que, es mala idea que, es horrible que, es imposible que, es increíble que, es justo que, es mejor que, es necesario, and the other ones that are there. It's impersonal because you're not making a judgment or an opinion on something. You're simply saying it's a good idea, or it's horrible, or it's impossible, or it's incredible, or it's fair, or it's not fair. In other words, it's a biased opinion, but stated in a way that makes it impersonal. Whenever you have something like this, the subsequent clause, the secondary clause, is going to be in the subjunctive. Note that the subjunctive is used only if there is a separate subject in the dependent clause. Otherwise, an infinitive is used. For example, es bueno que vayamos al lago. It's good that we go to the lake. Es bueno is present tense, and it's just expressing an impersonal expression or a judgment or bias. Therefore, the second verb has to be in the subjunctive. But we can easily say, es bueno ir al lago, meaning, well, it's good to go to the lake, generally speaking. Notice the first one is specifically talking about it's good for us to go to the lake. In the second one, it's just good to go to the lake. There's no change of subject. It's just a general statement. Escribe las frases usando el subjuntivo. Write the sentences using the subjunctive. Es mejor que tú estudiar para ser veterinario. Now you're going to have to conjugate the verb that's in red. What will you come up with? Es mejor que tú estudies para ser veterinario. Number 2, era imposible que nosotros no hacer. You're going to have to conjugate that. Nada para los animales. What do you think the conjugation will be? Since era is in the past tense, it was impossible. Did you use the past tense subjunctive for hacer? You should. Era imposible que nosotros no hiciéramos nada para los animales. Number 3. Fue necesario que yo saber más de los problemas ecológicos. How will you conjugate saber? Fue necesario que, so it was necessary, que yo supiera más de los problemas ecológicos. 4 gives another reason of when to use the subjunctive. So you're still using the same forms. We're just going to be looking now and for the next 2 chapters at when to use them. The subjunctive is used to express doubt or uncertainty. If you're doubting something about something, whatever you're doubting is going to be expressed in the subjunctive. The doubting is real. The uncertainty is real, so that's the indicative. But the secondary clause is going to be in the subjunctive. No dudar que, to not doubt. No creer que, to not believe. No pensar que, to not think or have the opinion, positive opinion. No suponer que, to not suppose. No estar seguro que, or estar segura, depending if you're a guy or a girl, to not be sure. No es cierto que, in other words, it's not certain that. No es verdad, it's not the truth that. No es obvio, it's not obvious that. No es evidente that. And here's some examples. Yo no supongo que haya cebras en el zoológico. First is negative. I do not suppose that there are zebras in the zoo. So haya has to be the present subjunctive of haber. Esteban duda que veamos los venados en el bosque hoy. Stephen doubts that we will see reindeer or deer in the forest today. Since the doubt is expressed, the second clause is going to be in the subjunctive. The same is true, however, or that's not true if there's a positive statement. Look at these expressions and look what happens. Creer que, in other words, I believe. Pensar que, I think. Suponer, I suppose. Estar seguro or segura de que, I'm sure that. Ser cierto, it's certain that. Ser verdad, it's true that. Ser obvio, it's obvious that. Ser evidente, it's evident that. These are not followed by subjunctive because they are positive statements or thoughts or stated truths. First example, ¿tú piensas que el zoológico está abierto? Notice está is an indicative because the first verb, is a positive belief statement. Laura cree que su esposo va a cazar este fin de semana. Laura thinks that her husband is going to hunt this weekend. Positive statement. Okay, let's practice some of these. Again, you have to conjugate the verb in the correct form, which can be one is going to be in the indicative, and the other one is going to be in the subjunctive if it expresses doubt, or in the indicative if it doesn't. Nosotros dudar que haber examen hoy. And in parentheses, I'm putting that it's happening today. Nosotros dudamos que, that's indicative because we're doubting. Nosotros dudamos que haya examen hoy. That there is an exam. The exam is what we're doubting, so that's in the subjunctive. Second one is going to happen in the past. Ayer is in parentheses, meaning yesterday. Yo suponía or yo supuse, either imperfect or preterite, que el profesor vino. It's not going to be in the subjunctive because you're supposing, you're affirming, and have the positive idea that he came. Number 3, no es obvio que, it is not obvious that, los estudiantes estar preparados. It's obvious when it's happening, I don't have to put anything in parentheses. How would you conjugate estar? Correct answer, no es obvio que los estudiantes estén preparado, because it's not obvious. It's negative, it's kind of doubting. Number 4, tú estar seguro que nosotros tener tarea. and it's happening yesterday, ayer. Tú estabas or estuviste seguro que. You were sure that. Nosotros tuvimos tarea. Just the preterite indicative, not tuviéramos, because you're making a statement that you were sure that we had homework. Tú estuviste seguro que nosotros tuvimos tarea. And try the last one. Es cierto que la clase ser fácil. How would you conjugate ser? And it's something that happened today, even though I didn't need to put that since es is present tense. Es cierto que la clase es fácil. You don't need subjunctive because you're saying that it is certain. Activity 12, 3, and 4. We're mixing both past and present subjunctive here. Follow the dialogue, and in parentheses you find a verb. You're going to have to decide if it takes indicative or subjunctive. Remember, true statements do not take subjunctive, they take indicative. And then if it's in the present tense or in the past tense, to use present or past tense indicative. Let's take the first one here. Miguel says, Profesor, es verdad que, we have present tense, impersonal statement, or impersonal expression, es verdad que, but it's in a question. So questions, by their very nature, express doubt or not knowing. So normally in a question of this nature, you're going to have a subjunctive. And since it's present tense, we have present tense subjunctive of haber. Profesor, ¿es verdad que haya muchos animales en peligro de extinción? Profesor says, sí, es cierto. Era obvio que muchas personas no. Era obvio que, that's impersonal expression. It will be followed by subjunctive. And era is past or present. The main verb here, ser, is in the imperfect, so that's past tense. Era obvio que, so pensar will be past subjunctive. And what will that be? Pensaran, because muchas personas, many people, did not think about the environment, el Medio Oriente. Y no creían que sus acciones, there's doubt, they did not believe that their actions, so afectar will be past subjunctive, afectaran el mundo mucho. Yo creo que, an affirmative statement, I believe that, so there is not going to be subjunctive. Todos deben hacer nuestra parte. Miguel says, dudo que, I doubt. Dudo que yo pueda cambiar las cosas. He could have also said, dudo poder cambiar las cosas, since there's no change of subject. Dudo que yo pueda. Dudo is present tense, doubt, so it's going to be followed by present tense, subjunctive. Profesor says, no creo que, that's doubt, and it's present tense, so saber is going to be present tense, subjunctive. Sepas todo lo que puedes. Now, how did I know to put that in the two forms, sepas? Is because of what's further on in the sentence. No creo que sepas todo lo que puedes hacer. The professor is talking to Miguel in the to form. I don't believe that you know all that you can do. Es cierto que tú, it's certain that you, certain, no subjunctive, because there's no doubt, and it's in the present tense. Eres nada más
una persona, pero hay muchas organizaciones que buscan voluntarios. It's true that you're nothing more than one person, or that you're only one person, but there are many organizations who are looking for volunteers. You should also consult the folder now and look at the subjunctive PowerPoint movies that I have made that go more into depth. This is an important topic. We're going to be studying it to the end of the semester now.